Well, Lydia is going to stay with us for our final presentation of the afternoon. So, Lydia, as we pull up your slides, anything else about your bio you'd like to add?
No. I think it was covered when we start the panel conversation. So no, I think we're good. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have your slides pulled up, so take it away.
Thank you very much. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I'm going to start with this guy. And of course, this is a cartoon of that was done for the Young Center. And the Young Center is this one of the nonprofits that I serve as an advisor in the board member. And it's a little building in front of the Fine Arts Museum. So it's a very nice, lovely place. If you have time or the opportunity, just go and check it out. It's nice. So this guy, Jung, Carl Gustav Jung, he was a psychotherapist and a psychologist, and he in his philosophy he explores very deeply the emotional aspects of the human psyche. So he was one of the early mentees of Sigmund Freud back in the 1800s, and when that psychoanalytic theories of Freud start becoming popular and mature, Jung started to differ from what Freud was saying in several aspects. So he started having some different ideas, and Freud was not a person, very open to new ideas or criticism. So basically, he expelled him out from the psychoanalytic society in Europe. So then Jung started developing his own theories, and today, there has been a lot of studies and current on psychotherapy that is Jungian therapy and Jungian studies and so forth. So basically, what he believed is that the emotions played a very crucial role in our psychological development and the self-understanding. Some of the key points that he talked about was around complexes. So things like concepts of emotionally charged ideas or memories that you have and we held from our childhood when we're children, and then it grows with us and we're keeping, and sometimes we operate unconsciously on those. So another concept was individuation, which is basically growth. It's what we these days call personal growth. So it's the process of integrating all these aspects of the self, so including emotions, to achieve personal holiness. So he thinks that understanding and acknowledging our emotions is essential to this individuation, that it's basically emotional growth. The other thing that is very common that he is very famous for is the archetypes. Basically, those archetypes are universal emotionally symbols or themes that appear in everywhere, myths and dreams and art and things that evoke emotional responses for us, like the archetype of a mother, for example. So when most of the people, when think about a mother, they think about this love and unconditional love and care and warmth and things like that. So those archetypes. And then finally, the shadow, which is what he thought about emphasizing as the importance of that darker side of our personalities. And he thinks that embracing that shadow can lead to emotional healing and growth and so forth. So for me, really the quote, I want to touch base a little bit on the quote that he said. One of the things is that I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. And I like it very much, associated to what we have talked in the panel and the ladies in the morning, that when you need to change and when some circumstances are in front of you, these red flags that we were talking about of what happened, that red flags that we feel internally or externally that are happening that are leading us to a career change, then start acknowledging and saying, what am I going to do with that? And it's not just happen, but what I really decide to happen with this. And for me, this was kind of pivotal. So basically, it sounds very weird that in my bio that I'm a geophysicist engineer, and I then decide to become a psychotherapist. So that happened. The part of the story there was that between 2003 and 2007, I work in Cantarell. Cantarell is this super major oil field in the Gulf of Mexico. So at that time, for example, it was producing 1.7 million barrels of oil a day. So that's just like a little less than what today ExxonMobil and Pioneer together are producing in the Permian Basin here in West Texas. So I was there a geophysicist engineer. I was developing models and supporting the daily decision making to run the oil field. So things are, where are we going to drill now? What are the places where more oil is trapped? And the new workover, some special engineering projects to understand the flow movements of the hydrocarbons and so far. So it was lots of math and lots of physics and engineering. And on top of that, it was living and working in this very, very male-dominated environment. This we are talking about, Latin America 20 years ago. So it was very challenging. So at some point, I started to develop anxiety and depression. Really, I was starting to feel very anxious and very depressed. And at some point, I felt that I was, I lost my happiness or my overall willingness to move forward, motivations and do things. So what I did was I started therapy, really. I started doing therapy, Jungian and Gestalt therapy, and it helped me very much, very, very much. So that's where I decided to start another role, another career on psychotherapy. So I started studying the masters of psychotherapy and so forth. And those are things that I've been doing, parallel, all the time. With different, it was very not that complicated, because after I finished the master and I start moving around with the companies that I was working with Halliburton, still doing engineering and consulting in oil and gas, I was able to keep a small private practice in Zoom, years ago from the places where I was and so forth. So like a parallel type of careers. So bottom line from this slide is that emotions rule our lives. I mean, emotions are here at every moment of the day. We are these perfect human beings made up of a body, a mind, and a spirit. And the spirit, I mean, I'm talking here in a very secular way, not religiously, but in a very secular, spiritual way, that we are, all that. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So what is emotional intelligence? And I will give you guys a minute to read this. Lots of words. So Daniel Goleman, in 1995, he wrote this book that is here. I have here the picture of the first print, or the first edition of this book, that it's called Emotional Intelligence. It's, of course, very, very popular book. And however, the term emotional intelligence was first used in something like 1964 in a research paper done by Michael Beldoch. He is, well, I'm not sure if he's still here with us, but he was a clinical professor of psychology at Cornell University. And also in the 1990, psychologist Peter Slovely and another gentleman, John Mayer, published an article in the Journal of Imagination, Cognition, and Personality that focused on emotional intelligence as a set of abilities rather than traits. So Coleman's book here, it helped very, very much to popularize the term and led to this very, very big global movement to implement it in schools and in business and communities and so forth. Before the book and before the emotional intelligence was widely known, the only intelligence that was studied and characterized was the logic and the mathematical intelligence. So nowadays, today, 2024, we know that there are several other types of intelligence. So there is an intelligence that is more artistic intelligence or spatial emergency, this type of people that you tell them a direction and very complicated way to drive somewhere and they get there without a Waze. So a spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, social, how people interact with others and so forth. So there are other types. The main components are these ones that I'm sure that you guys all read here: the self-awareness, basically recognizing, understanding your own emotions, the self-regulations to managing your emotions in a healthy way. So once you are aware of what happened, so regulation of that, instead of, getting angry and start shouting to people, to know, to control, to manage yourself. The motivation, so using your emotions to stay focusing and driven. So use them, having the ability, the personal ability to use your emotions to motivate yourself. And then empathy is understanding and sharing the feeling of others. And finally, the social skills. So to be able to navigate those social relationships to help move people in some desired directions, especially at work, for example, if we're talking about that. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I want to talk here briefly about the first component in the previous slide, that it's the self-awareness. And the physical self-awareness is easy, I think. I mean, the awareness of where you are and where your surroundings, it's kind of easy. You're crossing a street and then you see the traffic light and the cars and everything. So that's kind of the body's self-awareness. But I want to touch base here with the emotional awareness, that it's basically the one that emotional intelligence referred to. So that's the ability to be aware of the rising and falling of our mental experiences constantly. So the ability to identify beneficial emotional states, like being happy, like being happy, like being relaxed, like being, glad of something. And an opposite to that, of course, the not so positive one, the potential harmful ones, as anger and anxiety and sadness. Because one thing is that you feel something, that you are super happy, but to be aware that you are happy. So not just, being happy, or not just being sad and feeling down and being sad, but also being aware that I am sad and recognizing it. That's kind of the important part of self-awareness. And this came here from the compassionate integrity training that was built. And here in Houston, there is an organization, a nonprofit, that is called Compassionate Houston, that provides this training regularly, kind of 2 times a year or something, and in conjunction with the Life University Center for Compassion, Integrity, and Secular Ethics. So if you also have a little bit of time, I will encourage the people here to see it and to take it. Next slide, please.
Oops, sorry.
No worries. If you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So what happened all the time when we talked about emotional intelligence and self-awareness and everything, and especially, we'll hear work in corporate America, it's all around PowerPoints and all around, just explaining it. But again, that will just leave us here in our minds and our brains. So what I want to do here, it's encourage you to practice it. So to sit down and relax and have a little small practice. I know that Jessica in the morning talk a little bit about meditation. So don't worry, this is not, heavy meditation. We are not going to be here for hours. It's just a very, very brief exercise. And as I said, you don't need to be a very experienced meditator or something. So I just basically invite everyone here to give it a try. So I will invite you to find yourself in a comfortable position. So if you are sitting there in your chair, in front of your laptop, your computer, find yourself in that comfortable position. Make sure please that your feet are on the ground. So find yourself comfortable. So to make sure that you are comfortable sitting, your sits bones in the chair or the cushion, and then your feet on the ground. So I will also encourage you, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. Of course, no one is seeing you in front of a computer with the camera blocked. So I encourage, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. Or if you are not comfortable closing your eyes, maybe just lower your side a little bit some people said, and to see around the tip of your nose. Close your eyes. And then now, let's take 3 big breaths. So I invite you now to be aware of your surroundings. So what are you listening? Maybe the tone of my voice. Feel how the air goes through your lungs into your belly. Please try to be aware if it's cold outside, the air conditioning running, if it's hot, if there is a breeze, maybe, in the room you are sitting, if there's a smell. If you hear any noises from the outside, from the room outside, from the window, just be aware. So now I invite you to start being aware of your body, of your feet on the ground, to think about how are your shoes, are they comfortable, are you wearing high heels, are you wearing tennis shoes, so how that feel, your feet on the ground. I encourage you now to focus on your legs, your ankles, your calves. How you feel your knees, your thighs. How you are resting on your chair, how your legs are resting on your chair. Feel how the earth is supporting us, helping us feel grounded. Unconditional support. Please now, if you want, focus on your belly, on your hips, how they feel, how your belly inflates with your breath. Please notice now your torso, your back. Some teachers said to keep a straight back and a soft front. So keep on breathing. Focus now a little bit on your shoulders. Are they heavy? Sometimes we are carrying things on our shoulders. How they feel. Move them around a little bit if needed. Now let's focus on the neck. So please focus on your neck. Maybe move it a little bit if you need. Maybe side by side, up and down. That really helped me a lot to decompress, relax. Please notice how it feels. how your lips are, your nose. How the air comes in and out of your nose. Notice your eyes, your forehead. Maybe try to relax your forehead. Just breathe. This is our moment. This is just our moment together here. There's nothing else to do right now. No tasks, no things to do. Just we're here, enjoying the moment together. No issues to fix, nowhere to go. This is just your moment. Your moment for your inner self. So now, whenever you're ready, whenever you want, just please start to be aware. Back again, this moment of your surroundings. Opening or closing your eyes, whatever is needed. And please come back to this place, to this conference, whenever you're ready, no rush. I hope most of us are here back and this help you to be self-aware of you in these past 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing this practice if you share it and did it. Can we go now to the next slide, please? Thank you. So finally, I am going to talk about empathy and empathy as for living, and it's basically the ability to understand and feel the thoughts and the feelings and emotions of another person. And it could be kind of in two types because empathy. So in the cognitive way, in the cognitive type, it's basically understanding. It's the ability to see what's going on with the other person. So I've heard that sometimes people mention that some people are tone deaf, that they don't see what's going on, they don't read the room, for example. So that's exactly the first type of empathy, the cognitive empathy, when we realize by seeing another person, by seeing the body language and understanding what might be going on with that person. And then the affective, at the affective level, it's kind of a feeling. So the affective empathy is when one resonates with another person in an emotional level. So when we laugh, for example, when we were in the panel right now, smiling at each other, nodding at each other, that's the type of affectiveness, empathy. Can we go to the next slide, please? This will be the last slide. And I just want to close this conversation with saying that the power of leading with empathy is enormous, because when you really understand what drives and motivate you first, what are the things that make you happy, what are the things that drive you to do things, and you also know that from your employees or from your team members, from your team around, it's really, really a powerful tool, because that will help you collaborate better. And Chachi mentioned this several times. It helps to collaborate the importance of collaboration, and it helps to collaborate better and be much more efficient in the work. So that's all for me. I think I have one more slide just with my name and my email if you want to connect with me. And also, I'm also in LinkedIn with my whole full name of Lidia Ramirez Garcia Cano in LinkedIn. So happy to connect over there if you want. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Lydia, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And thank you for doing double duty today. Do you have time for maybe one or two questions? So I'll go to our first question from Kaori, and she says, do you think emotional intelligence can be taught? I manage a group of engineers.
Yes. Yes, and that distinction of engineers, it's really, really great. So yes, I'm also an engineer, and I work with engineers today a lot and in my peers. So yes, it could be taught. Emotional intelligence can be taught because it's based on one quality of the brains that it called neuroplasticity, and I can send to some links to papers around it. So neuroplasticity is the property of the mind to learn new things and to learn new paths, and everyone can learn new paths and new things by training yourself. So yes, so all these things can be trained. Empathy can be trained, compassion can be trained, and of course emotional intelligence. Yes, it could be taught. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And for our last question from Cora, she says, have you heard that emotional intelligence questions are being used in job interviews? And how can I prepare?
Yes, I've seen that recently. And for example, from the perspective of a psychotherapist or in a psychotherapist private practice, that it's considered non-ethic. So not very ethical to go and talk to people and about their emotions and their things or behaviors, because it's like, that's things that are very, very internal and private for each person. But I've seen, that recently in the environment of interviews, of work interviews, they ask for the behaviors. So a lot of behavioral questions in job interviews asking, what would you do if, and then boom, they put you in front of the emotional intelligence question. So I think the best way to tackle those questions is more being aware of what you would like to do or what would do in those type of the scenarios that they put you in front. And again, it's, I think, around compassion and around the way we are empathic with each other. I can send, I think I have maybe a couple of papers that I can send also if it's, want to read more.
Well, thank you for that. Well, as we wrap for the afternoon, any final words of wisdom for all of our viewers today?
Yes, I think Jessica in the morning also mentioned it, and then a couple more around meditation, and for me it's very nice to do it because meditate, and I practice meditation regularly because it gives an opportunity to be with myself and to kind of shut down for a while and then just be present for me. And in Houston, we have lots of different places as well that give free online meditations weekly or two times a week, like in the Young Center. So, and it's free. I mean, you just enroll and they send you a link to meditate. And I think that it's one of a very good tools to help deal with all the stress and pressures and things that we all face at work every single day. Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to talk with you guys.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you to all of our speakers today, both our panel members and our keynote speakers. And thank you to all of our viewers as well. Without all of you, these events would not be possible. So until next time, this is Ginger Whatley signing off. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.